Good evening, everyone. This is your girl, Tori. We're doing it live for the Keep the Faith podcast. And of course, you guys know, and if you don't know, I'm about to tell you June is Men's Mental Health Awareness. And I have two amazing male counselors who happen to be African American that's going to be talking to us today. I'm super duper excited about that. But before we get into the topic at hand, I want you guys to tell us a little bit about yourself. Matter of fact, Robert, you've been on before. So, Christopher, if you don't mind, would you go first? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Christopher Moore. I'm a counselor at Hope Health in Florence, South Carolina. Been doing counseling for about 21 years. Reside here in Florence. I'm originally from a small community called Brits Neck, South Carolina, located in Marion County. So shout out to Brits Neck, anybody from Brits Neck watching. So I live here in Florence, my wife and two kids. Married 13 years. Well, nope, going on 14. 13 years going on 14.
Now, you know you better get it right.
I get it right. It is 13 years, but, it's going on 14 at the end of this year.
Okay.
2 daughters, 8 and 5. So, like, I love what I do.
That's awesome. And you got babies. You got little kids. Oh, my goodness. That's awesome. I have the reason why I say that, I have a rising senior. My son will be 18 in October. So okay. I miss those ages 8 and 5. But listen, I wasn't gonna have any more kids. But anyway, Mr. Robert, what's going on with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey. Sorry about that. My name is Robert Shine. I'm an advocate for men's mental health awareness. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. Let me rewind it a little bit. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, so we got that South Carolina Connect going on over here. Moved out to Georgia after I graduated high school, and I only come back to South Carolina to visit, but I love it. Again, I've been doing advocacy work for 3 going on 4 years now, and my whole mission is to just touch young men.
Okay. Now you say you from Charleston?
Mm-hmm.
So you look geeky.
I am. I am.
Yeah, they're very geeky. Because I'm a graduate of the College of Charleston. I graduated College of Charleston back in 2000. So I just got out of school for a little bit. But yeah, I'm a prior graduate of the College of Charleston. So that's why I was like, yeah, y'all real geeky now.
Real. I grew up around the corner from the college.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay. Now I'm gonna ask you both a question with June being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. What got and starting with Mr. Christopher, because you've been doing it for 21 years. That's a long time. Mm-hmm. Tell me, and I'm asking both of you this question, but I'm gonna start with Mr. Christopher. What made you get into dealing with mental health, and why is it so important to you? What made you want to get into that field of being a therapist?
Well, I was telling Robert yesterday, I got into it based on a job interview I had a long time ago at PD Mental Health. And prior to that, I had a job at a residential facility working with kids that had like real high emotional needs and emotional deficits. So that kind of sparked me having an interest or a passion for working with people that have mental health issues. So I had a job interview at PD Mental Health, and the person that interviewed me, Martha Outlaw, she was my supervisor when I worked there. And she asked me what I wanted to do for the future. And I said, well, I want to be a counselor, make it sound good. I want to go back to school and be a counselor to help people that, try to help where I wouldn't help maybe when I was a teenager or whatever. But I got the job. Then a couple months later, I'm just saying stuff during the interview. I didn't really have any intention of going back to school at that time. But she asked me when I was going back to school, and I said, well, I guess I have to go now. So ended up running to one of my sister's classmates that was going to Webster University and she was telling me about the counseling program. So I looked into that. Very easy access, going in on weekends and doing classes and stuff. So that just got the ball rolling some more. Going to the graduate classes and obtaining the master's degree. So that hunger just kept coming and coming and coming. So like the passion. I didn't go to school formally in undergrad for psychology and anything like that, but falling into that role, that what got the hunger, the passion going for helping people with mental health needs.
Okay, cool.
So, unorthodox, but it got me where I'm at.
Okay, and 21 years, that's a long time.
Long time, yeah. My first job I got at the residential facility was in 2002. Just been in the business ever since then. So,
oh wow,
just kept it going.
Okay, that's good. What about you, Robert? What got you into it?
Yeah, I'm a little unorthodox, like Mr. Moore as well. I always tell people, if you would ask me a couple of years ago what's self-care, I would jokingly say that's when women get in the tub, bubble bath, candles, music, things like that. But didn't really realize that that is a part of self-care. Kind of went through a situation maybe about 5-6 years ago that kind of exposed me to the importance of mental health, and from there I just started digging in. The passion came for it, like Mr. Moore said, and I just became hungry for knowledge. So networking with people, buying books, podcasts, just soaking up as much information as possible. In doing that, I saw a lot of parallels between myself and other Black men. So I guess it was kind of my thing to spread that message and information that I was getting to my friends, and we did a couple programs from there, and here we are today.
Sounds like a plan. So I'm gonna ask both of you this question. Why mental health? Why is mental health so important from a male's perspective? Because a lot of times women are quick to go to seek therapy, but men are not. Men will tell you all day long, I don't need to see anybody. Nothing's wrong with me. But clearly something is wrong. There is an underlying issue. So why is mental health so important as it, from a male's perspective?
You want to go first, Chris?
Well, just from what you said, is the women are gonna get help, but the men won't, because the men we kind of have that toxic masculinity going on, or masculine norms. We're not supposed to talk about what our problems are. We're supposed to just go through it. We're supposed to just be strong. Clients say that all the time. I got to be strong. So being strong is being stoic, not showing any emotions. It just be, I can't cry because I got to be strong. So then we don't want anybody in our business. And if somebody get in our business and they tell us something wrong with us, then they're wrong. So, and we don't want ourselves uncovered. We don't want to be vulnerable. That's the word. Men don't want to be vulnerable. Don't want to be emotional. But emotions is the way we show that we're human. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and that was great. I think that we never really had the privilege, or our parents never really had the privilege of therapy. So we're like the first generation that does kind of have that are exposed to it. So I think that's why a lot of women are going to it, and men. We have the mentality of, hey, throw dirt on it and rub some dirt on it and let's go. You're gonna be all right, kind of suppressing and letting things pass.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of multi-layered when you think about it. It's a million and one reasons why men don't do it. But that's why podcasts like this are important, and the work that Chris is doing, the work that I'm doing is important to kind of get that word out there to men, just simply for the exposure. I always tell people my job's not to change your mind, but it is to plant a seed, and life gonna water it, life gonna give it sunshine, and when it's time for that seed to sprout, you're on your journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, Chris says something that I was alluded to, a question that I wanted to ask both of you. Now, I'm a single mom of a son. And a lot of times I didn't do this, but I know I've seen some single moms raising sons. Like they'll tell their son to man up and they will encourage them not to cry. How is that? Like I said, I didn't do it, but I see it being done. How is that from you guys' point of view, stifling little boys growing up into broken men? How is that stifling them from telling them to hold their emotions and also telling them to man up?
Just like you said, it's stifling them.
I'm saying, well, yeah. How, in what ways is it detrimental? That maybe that's a better word. How is that detrimental to them? Because I see so many single moms do that. They'll tell their son not to cry. Like, basically, why is it okay? Because you said it's, I think you said it perfectly earlier, Chris. You said it's a part of what makes you human. But why is it? I guess the real question is, why do, in our mind, we don't allow little boys to cry? Because it doesn't make them soft. It's just who they are.
Just part of that societal norms that men not supposed to cry, women are. If you're crying as a man, you looked at as as soft. You looked at as a sissy. You know, whatever vernacular, whatever word you want to use. You know, it's not a normal reaction. You know, for a boy to cry, but we're human. We have to express ourselves in that way. And if you stifle that boy, that kid from being able to express themselves when they're sad, when they're emotional, then that just leaves a person that's going to be emotionally unavailable later on in life. And then they're going to be on my couch talking to me because, my mother didn't allow me to cry. She said if I cried, she'd give me something to cry about. So, you know.
Heard that before.
Yeah. we leave a trail of trauma with these kids, and then when they're 54 years old, they're sitting at an office talking to somebody about it because they've been holding stuff in for years and years and years. You know, instead of somebody telling them, let it out. Let me know what's going on. Share with me. No, don't do that. That's not what boys do. So
right.
I was never told that. My mom never told me that. My dad never told me that. They never said, don't cry. You know, I never heard that from anybody. You know, maybe you get a spanking or something. I give you something to cry about. You know, but that's to come with the territory. You raised by people from the country. But as far as like don't cry at all, I never was told that.
Okay.
I think I would probably learn that from like society learning. You go to school or you be around people. You know, you don't see them cry, so you don't cry.
Right. Right.
If you ask anybody I went to high school with, they know I cried. So
right. So how do you answer that, Robert, in regards to, you know, how is it detrimental to little boys not being told not to cry?
It stunts them emotionally. You know, just simply put, and I might get a lot of flack for this, but it is multi-layered. But, you know, women can't teach men how to be men, you know, at the end of the day. So when I do run across single moms, and I think you and I had this conversation last time we spoke, just kind of put them around, you know, peers and older men so that they are able to kind of come into their own and learn about healthy masculinity. You know, we hear toxic masculinity, so let's kind of put healthy masculinity out there for our youth. And even just the progression of young boys growing up, when you're little, they say, hey, boys don't cry, throw some dirt on it. You know, you hit middle school, you know, you're going to play some type of sport.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thought that was me buzzing. Even when you go to like middle school or your pre-teens, you're gonna play some type of sport, and now you're really hammered in with, hey, boys aren't supposed to put dirt on it. Are you heard? Is that me?
It's like your sound going it got lower or something. I'm not sure what happened.
I got a buzzing sound.
Buzzing sound.
Do you have your phone near your computer?
I do.
Okay, move your phone away a little bit. That makes give feedback sometimes.
Okay, let me cut it off.
That's probably the feedback from your phone, your cell phone.
Okay, phone off, and it is far away. I'm still getting a little feedback, but I'm gonna fight through it. So let me know if y'all can hear me or not.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
You hear me? Okay, perfect. So preteens, you kind of get into the sports mentorship part of it, where you learn, don't throw some dirt on it. Are you hurt or are you injured? What's the difference? If you're hurt, you can play. If you're injured, we got to put you on the sideline. And then boys get into high school where, you know, people can be vicious in high school. So you kind of learn to keep those emotions, and you really don't talk to anybody. So, you know, a lot of men, in my opinion, a lot of boys, when they become young adults, 18, 19 years old, they haven't really been able to process anything emotionally. So now they're out in the world kind of learning as they go on the fly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the don't cry, don't show emotions, don't be emotional thing kind of leads a lot of men to, is them growing later on in life emotionally.
Okay, so let me ask you guys a question, because like I said, I'm a single mom of raising a son, and my son will soon be 18 years old. From a male's point of view, what word of advice would you give to me and other single moms raising sons to encourage their son to express themselves emotionally? And the reason why I asked this question, because my son lost someone very dear to him. Mm-hmm. And when I told him the news that this person had passed away, it's like he shut down, and it's like he wanted to cry, but he wouldn't allow himself to cry. And he also made a statement to me, well, they wouldn't want me to cry. And I told him, if you need to cry, it's okay to cry.
Right.
So what could I do as a single, because like Robert said earlier, we as women raising sons, we cannot teach our sons how to be men. We have to expose them to positive male role models, whether it be in the church, in our family, in the community. We have to give them that exposure, because we are not able to teach them how to be a man. But what advice would you give to someone like me, and like I said, other single moms that are watching and listening? What can we do or say to our sons to encourage them that it's okay to express yourself? It's okay to cry when they're thinking, because, you know, nowadays, this generation, they're on social media. They see they're influenced by a lot of things on social media. And they're thinking, if I cry, that makes me softer. That makes me, you know, a wimp or whatever. What can I do as a mom to encourage my son to express himself more, even if it comes to the point where he needs to cry?
I don't think that it always has to come out as tears, but just like a healthy way to express himself. So a big thing that I did with my students this year was I was teaching 5th grade, so I was dealing with a lot of kids that were coming out of COVID. They were just all over the place. I gave them journals. Hey, write down how you feel. We're not going to read it. Just every week, every Friday over the weekend, you just write something down. Take them to the gym. That way, and this is just for young boys in general, not 5th graders, but take them to the gym and kind of teach them different ways to healthily express what they're feeling. Because it might not always be words, it might not always be tears. I think we kind of bottleneck people into a, hey, if you're sad, this is how you're supposed to be. This is how and it's not that cookie cutter,
Right.
That journaling could lead to the next Langston Hughes, just by them writing down their thoughts, writing down their feelings, and tap into a talent that they never knew they really had.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. And Christopher, how you answer that question? How would you answer that question?
I think Robert hit the nail on the head when he said, expressing emotion doesn't have to be verbal, doesn't have to be crying. You have different outlets, and what you did with your son, that was what you needed to do. You didn't force it on him. You let him be able to know it's okay to have these emotions, and whatever you need to do to express it, that's what you do. But you didn't force him, go ahead and cry, boy. You say
Right.
So you left an open door for him to talk to you and to be able to express himself in a certain way. And like Robert was saying, give him different outlets. Going to the gym, writing, art. Any other creative outlets. People can do to kind of get that. I call it the monkey on the back. So just don't let it fester inside. You could, like he said, he experienced that death, but at the same time, he kept letting that stay within him and didn't want to let it out. Then it turns into something else.
Right.
In a different form that he don't want it to turn into, or you don't want it to turn into. So you just got to support these young men, let them know, you can talk, or you can express yourself in whatever way you can, but you don't have to hold it in.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad Robert said about the I'm glad you mentioned about the journaling, because that was something else that I encourage him often. I'm like, if you don't want to talk about this is the thing that I do, and I can only speak for myself. I don't know what other single parents are doing, but I just told my son last week, I said, me as an adult, I go through things. And I said, there's some things that I don't understand. There's some things that I'm not sure how to handle. And I said, I can't even begin to imagine, because you guys' mind are still developing. And I can't even imagine how y'all thought process, or, and of course you can't handle things as well as I may be able to handle something. But I said, and I just had a conversation. I said, as young adults and as little children, you go through things. And I told him, I said, if you don't want to talk about it, either you reach out to somebody, that you feel comfortable talking about. Because, of course, there's some conversations that my son's just not going to talk to me about.
Right.
But I encourage him also to journal. And I actually had, a matter of fact, a male therapist actually had sent him a journal. And so I encourage him to write in his journal. And I encourage him to, because like when he was younger, he had a quick temper. And now it's to the point where now he's more calmer now. So I'm glad you said that, Robert, because I do encourage him to write all the time. And that's one of my outlets. I journal as well when I'm going through things, because sometimes you don't always want to talk about certain things. Right. I'm a believer, of course, which everybody know by now. I'm a believer, of course. So a lot of times if I don't talk to people, I talk to God about it. And then there's sometimes when I pray and I talk to God about certain things, I also just write about it. And then one thing I love about journaling, I like to date my entries. So like say we're in the month of June of 2023, I'll look at a journal entry from June of 2022 and I can see how I have progressed. And then there have been situations where I've seen how I've been stagnant, and I'm allowing myself to wallow in pain when I could be moving forward. So I think journaling helps with, as far as monitoring your progress. And I think that's a good thing. I'm glad Robert brought that up, because that's something that I encourage my son to do all the time. Now, I want you guys to touch bases on other key points, key elements, because I want to ask y'all questions all day. What are some of the other things that you guys want to touch on as it relates to men? Because like I said, June is focusing on men's mental health. What are some key things that we as women need to know in regards to helping our sons as well as our mates with dealing with mental health? Because men, you guys don't always talk. Sometimes you guys go into caves and y'all shut down. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the things that, well, let me ask you this question, and then I want you guys to touch on some things that you guys want to share with us as far, because I'm learning as I go. But what are some things that you can encourage, like I said, raising sons and without significant others, with being patient with you guys when it comes to your mental health? Because I'm one of those women that, you know how I'm generally concerned about you all the time, and sometimes I can ask a person, "Are you okay?" and I can tell that they're not, and I'm like, "You sure?" And it's to the point where I ask so many times that sometimes I get annoying because I do that sometimes. With my son, "You sure you're okay? You
Right.
sure you want to talk about it?" And I don't want to be that way. So, what are some of the things that we can do as raising our sons, as well as being there for our mates, whether it be our significant other, husbands, when it comes to their mental health?
I think sometimes the mate don't want to say anything because he don't want to look weak. So if I say something wrong, I'm weak, or I perceive myself as being weak, or I might perceive that you perceive me as being weak. So I don't want to look like that. I'm supposed to be the strong buck in this family and provide, put food on the table, put everything on my back, and nothing's wrong. So, but like you were saying earlier, if I keep pressing your buttons, asking you what's wrong, and I keep saying nothing, sometimes you just got to let it go, but not let it go and ignore the problem. But you don't push too hard, because sometimes when you push too hard, that puts them in shutdown mode. And like you say, we back ourselves into a cave. We don't want to be triggered or startled. So when you start asking too many questions, we get a little triggered. You don't want to talk about it. We want to shut down. We rather deal with it internally instead of dealing with it externally and talking about it. But as a man, we got to know if we have a mate, she's there for us. Even if you feel like you're weak, you're not handling the things that you need to handle, that's what she's here for. She's here to help. But I think sometimes we look at it as we've been a hindrance, and sometimes maybe we feel like they're getting in our way, or they putting the pants on.
Right.
Yeah. So sometimes it is us who got to take that ego out of it and just, allow that mate to help.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of took the words out of my mouth right there, and we can't put it all on the women, because as men we still have to hold ourselves accountable. And self-awareness is huge. Through relationships, I kind of realized that, hey, I'm a reflective person. So if there's something that's going on, I need a little bit of time to process it before I could actually articulate what's going on.
Right.
Again, men aren't as linguistically inept as women. Y'all pull those knives out of y'all go with it. And for men, it's kind of like, whoa, okay, what's going on here? And sometimes an immediate response isn't the best type of response, especially for me. I literally have to think about it, kind of sit back on it, go through my thoughts. Hey, how do I feel about this? How do I want to move forward with this? Is this something that's serious that I could just let it go, or do we just need to dig into a deeper conversation from it? And then they could come back to you in a better space. So that goes off of what Mr. Morris said, and kind of address it, give them some time to think about it, and now you're able to kind of revisit that conversation and talk about it in a healthy way. Because sometimes men could feel ambushed by conversations. And if you're not prepared for it, it's like you're just going to start saying and doing whatever just to kind of end the conversation, and the issue's not really addressed. For young men, I would say that they need three main things, and that's going to be time, and that's both from the mother and the father. It doesn't have to be a conversation. They just need parents to be there. They're going to need us to affirm them. So, hey, great job. I think a lot of young Black men don't get that affirmation enough. Just like, hey, I'm proud of you. Hey, you're doing a great job, and we have to hold them accountable as well. Because I see a lot of youth now that aren't accountable. They're quick to kind of point the finger, but we have to teach them accountability. So time, affirm, and accountability. I think those are the three things that will really kind of set a framework for them to understand a little bit better.
Oh, wow. And I think that is actually great for men
Girls
as
too.
well.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and the reason why I say that is because I believe in affirming my significant other, even though I'm happily single right now. But I believe in affirming. I believe in pouring into you. Because I was actually I do another podcast with another friend of mine, and I remember I forgot what we were talking about Tuesday, but I remember an ex of mine telling me, and it stuck with me until this day. He said to me, he said, Tori, I'm already fighting with the world. I don't need to come back and fight with you too. And when he said that, I was like, ooh, but it stuck with me. Like, it made me pay attention to what I was saying, my tone, how I was saying it, and everything. And that actually made me take a hold myself accountable, because I used to be reckless with some stuff I said. And when he said that to me, I was like, I don't want him to feel that way. So now I'm at a place where I pour as much as I can. I affirm. Not only do I do that for my son, but not just, romantic, but my friends as well. I always tell them, I'm proud of you. I see what you're doing. You're doing it for now. I think we all need affirmations at some point,
Mm-hmm.
because
Right.
it could be that word, that affirmation that someone may be having feeling low, and that may be something to get them through the day. And I actually had a situation where I actually called a friend of mine that was actually going through stuff, but you know how men are, y'all good at covering stuff up. And let me see, Jamel says, hey Tori, what's up, Jamel? Men, you guys are good at covering stuff up. And there was a particular male friend of mine that was going through something, and I had no idea that they were going through something. And I just simply, I text them and I told them that, I'm proud of you. I see what you're doing. You're doing a phenomenal job. And they was like, really? They didn't feel like they felt like they were being overlooked. They felt like they were not being appreciated. And they didn't feel like what they were doing mattered. And by me telling them that, it made a difference, to the point where they were actually suicidal, and I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. So it's very important that we express. That's why I tell my son all the time now, talk to me. And if you can't talk to me, talk to someone that you feel comfortable talking to. And if you don't feel like talking, I encourage him, journal, write it down. Now, the other question that I wanted to ask you guys, and I know I did tell y'all to talk about some key points, but let me ask you the final thing, and then I want you guys to get into that. But what do you say to that man that may be watching, and they may be going through something, but they feel like they can't talk about it? They don't want to tell anybody about it, but they're holding it inside. But in the end, it's being detrimental, because when we hold things inside, it causes sickness in our body as well. So what do you say to that man that could possibly be watching, that's going through something? They need to talk to someone, but they refuse to talk to someone because they're in denial. Because, like I said, men are not quick to go to get therapy. And it doesn't matter who answers first.
I will say, to the brothers that are listening, that may need help but don't want to seek help, it's not as bad as you think it is. We're here to help. Everybody needs help. Everybody has a story to tell. Sometimes, like you said earlier, sometimes people feel like nobody's listening to them. And that's what I'm here for. Every time when I get a black man in my office and he talks the whole time, I don't say anything, I can tell he has nowhere to go and express himself or share what he's going through. He's just fighting everything by himself and can't let none of the stuff go. And it's eating him up inside and inside. And that spills over into his life. It spills over to only himself, his personal life, family life, work life, everything. So, we're here to help. We're not here to hinder you. But saying, I know it's strange and it's hard telling people that you don't know what's going on inside of you. But we're here for you. We're here to help. That's the best thing I can say.
Okay.
Yeah, I would tell them that storms don't last long, and you're not the only one that's ever been through a storm. Whatever you're going through, the one thing you could always rely on is gratitude, because there are people that didn't wake up this morning. There are people that are in worse situations than you. So I will probably make 2 suggestions. If you're feeling down, get up and go walk. Don't take headphones with you. Don't take a cell phone with you. Just go out and walk and just be one with nature. Listen to the wind blow, watch the trees sway, and just get some of that natural energy back into you. And the second thing would be to write down 10 things that you're grateful for and focus on those 10 things, because I think gratitude will kind of help you realize that things aren't as bad as you really think they are. You might feel like you're in the bottom of the well, but once you start writing down things that you're grateful for, it just open your eyes and expose you to, that, hey, I do have things that are good in my life, and everything is not bad as it seems. This is just my perception, and I need to change that perception.
Wow, that's good. I like that, and that's something that I try to do. Instead of focusing on what I don't have or whatever, I try to focus on what I'm grateful for. And then I remember reading something. I don't know if it was a Facebook post or something, but I remember reading something that said, "What if if you woke up the next morning and you only had the things that you said the day before that you said that you was thankful for?" So say if you said the day before, "I'm thankful for my car," and you wake up the next day and your car is all that you have because that was the only thing that you said you was thankful for. So we have to get in the habit of thanking God for everything that we have. We got to be very specific, because what if you wake up the next day and the thing that you have, but you're not grateful for it, you wake up and you don't have it. Right. So I think all of that is very, very important. But I'm going to be quiet, and whatever other key points you guys want to talk about, let's talk about it, because it's focusing on the men. There's a lot of things that men go through that a lot of times we don't know as women because you guys don't discuss it. And a lot of times we don't know because some men think that, well, I will say some women make it hard for men to be vulnerable. They don't allow themselves to be a safe space. Because I tell, especially my sisters in my circle, like if a man feels that you are a safe space and they talk to you about different things that they're going through, don't betray their trust and don't throw it up in their face. Because if you do that, then guess what? They're not going to share what they're going through with you ever again. So we have to be careful when a man allows us to be a safe space. We don't throw what they're going through in their face, and we allow, allow them to talk. And then women, sometimes we got to know when to shut up. Just be quiet. We don't always listen to respond. We got to listen to understand. So with that being said, I'm listening. So what do you guys, like I said, whatever you guys, because there's so many different aspects to mental health. But like I said, we as women, we have to listen to our men and pay attention to what they're going through.
I don't want to put it all on the women. I appreciate you kind of acknowledging that, like women might trigger men sometimes, but I think it all comes back down to the accountability piece. And when you are becoming self-aware and you're learning more about yourself, you kind of understand that you have to make tough decisions. Sometimes it might be, hey, this relationship might not be working for me, or hey, this job is not working for me, and hey, but I don't want women to put that onus on themselves, because they receive so much residual trauma from supporting black men.
Mhm.
And I love black women for that. So I think it's just a time where kind of men have to really man up in this instance and take on the advice of their significant other, of their loved ones, of their children, and become better men. I was talking with Chris yesterday and saying that in order to fix the body, you got to fix the head, right? If they want to destroy anything, you're going to take the head off, and the body's going to fail. And us as black men, we're the head of the community, and we got COVID right now. We gotta get right. So I don't want women to feel like they need to take their foot off the gas, because in some instances you need to put your foot on the gas, and it's gonna take someone a situation where they're gonna have to get uncomfortable to really acknowledge what's going on. So that would be my message: is just fellas, man, talk to somebody, write it down, and just extreme accountability. It's a book by a guy named Jocko Wilkes. I don't know if y'all ever heard of him, but he's this Navy SEAL guy, and his book is called Extreme Accountability, where he looks for accountability even in situations where he wasn't wrong. Like, hey, how can I approach this? How could I have approached this situation differently? How could I have prepared more? How could I have just different things that he could have done differently? Him and his team were stuck somewhere overseas, and a majority of his guys died. So they court-martialed him, and it was nothing that he could do, but he took accountability, didn't put fault on anybody, and I think that's a real good book for anybody to read. And it's another book called The Black Male Handbook. Is it Harper? Oh, what's my guy name? It's Harper. I can't think his name, but it's called A Black Male Handbook. Okay. It's good for any age. And the final thing is sometimes you don't have to get an entire message that touches you. Sometimes it's one sentence. Sometimes it's a word that speaks to you. I heard my pastor say one time, sometimes the messages are for you. So us as men have to be active listeners, to where we could pull nuggets out of an hour-long conversation and take 30 seconds, a minute and 30 seconds, and apply that to our lives and be active listeners for the people that we serve, which is our community and our family.
Wow, that's good. That's really good. And Mr. Chris, what do you have to what words of encouragement do you have? Like I said, from a man's perspective, because I've been asking y'all questions since we started, but I gotta let you guys talk about some things that affect you guys as men as well.
Well, piggyback off what you said earlier, you say you had a partner that said, I got to fight with the world. I don't need to come home and fight with you. But, it's the same thing for the black woman as well. They're fighting the world as well, especially single black woman perspective. I'm pretty sure y'all fight the world, married black woman, whatever it is. But at the same time, if both of us are getting beat up by the world and we come home, we beat each other up or we fight with each other, we're not going to get anywhere. So we got to have that common ground to talk and figure out what's going on. Instead of, I think it's a lot of times we in that me first or that me only mentality. So this is happening to me right now. Let's talk about me, instead of us sharing the floor with each other, trying to help each other. So basically, if I'm getting beat up, I'm coming home, I want a pity party. Or if she getting beat up, I feel like, oh, you don't need a pity party, you need to focus on me. So we got to come to a common ground instead of comparing apple to oranges. If both of us got something, a struggle that we struggle with out there in the world, we need to come home and try to figure out how to fix it together. Let's fight together instead of we fighting our own battles, separately. Let's fight it together. Prayer.
Right.
understanding, like I said, helping each other, affirming each other. A lot of times, we just two ships passing in the night, but we need to come together and help each other out. My problem ain't bigger than your problem ain't bigger than mine, but at the same time, let's figure this thing out together instead of, just hashing it out. Like I said, we come home fighting because we fighting them. Let's help each other.
And then he was like, it's already bad enough. I'm being a black man, and I've already got 2 straight. I'm black, and something else he said. I can't remember everything he said, but he was just like, "Why? I already got to deal with the world. I got to come deal with this with you." No.
Yeah.
So, and then also another thing that I don't like that people say, is how they tell the woman, and they probably tell men this as well, but how they tell the woman, you got to be a man's peace. I don't think we can be your peace. The peace comes from within, but we have to provide a peaceful environment, if that makes sense. We can't be, I don't feel like we as women can be your peace. That comes from within.
You gotta have inner peace, yeah.
Right. I don't like when I hear that. You got to be his peace. You got to, I believe in you to provide a peaceful environment, and don't have all this nagging and stuff. But we can't give you peace. That peace has to come from you. And we come together and be peaceful. Go ahead and say something. Go for you.
I will say, might have came home and said, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight with you when I come home. You might not even start an argument. You probably just didn't want to hear what you had to say. I don't want to fight the world and come home and fight you. I don't want to come home and talk to you. So that's just an easy way to get out of that in the first place. But I had a pastor say a long time ago, he said, women may use 30,000 words in a day. Men use 5,000. So he ain't coming home talking because he done use all his words during the day at work. So that's why there's no conversation going on. For one, and then don't want to be vulnerable. And then if it's gonna turn into something else, I don't want it to turn into something else because I want to come home, watch the game, watch the NBA draft, or watch whatever, and you leave me alone. So I can scapegoat stuff, get you out of my face, so I have to talk about it.
That's what it was.
We cover stuff up.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to see through the smoke screen. That might not be the issue. I want to piggyback off the peace thing that you said, and it's this quote that I kind of carry around with me for a while, and it's that I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener at war. And yeah, we all are fighting these battles, outside of the home, but it's about cultivating that garden in the home. Hey, the man is going, and it's a dual type of thing, right? The woman doesn't set up that garden. The man would have to dig up the dirt. You gotta excuse my gardener reference because I don't know too much about it, but he kind of have to like loosen the dirt up, plant the seeds,
till it,
nurture it, and get it going like that. And it's even when you buy a house, like let's say a man buy a house, but the woman turns it into a home. Mm-hmm. So it is a tandem thing, and it always starts with communication. So ladies, if you got a man that's being vulnerable with you, you got a good place to start.
That's good. And that's what I feel like too. If a man allows himself to be vulnerable to, let me ask you guys this question. If you allow yourself to be vulnerable with the woman, does that necessarily mean, one, that she's a safe place, and for two, that you trust her? Am I interpreting that correctly?
I would say yes, because I'm single out here as well. So I was dating someone last year, and we have been talking for a couple months, and she just said, I really don't think that I know you. And it kind of made me acknowledge the fact that, I rarely let people in, and you can learn the surface level stuff about me, learn about my family, learn about my experiences, but like those deep scars, especially if you hadn't addressed them, it's kind of hard to open up, especially when that vulnerability might have been betrayed.
Right.
So I think that's a big thing with men, is that vulnerability has been betrayed. So it does take a lot of patience for guys to kind of let you in the basement, the basement or the attic, the places where it's like, oh, this what a secret say.
Right. Okay. And Dwayne is watching. He said it means both. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was interpreting that correctly, because I know there's men that I've had in my life. They shared some very deep stuff with me, and I will take it with me to the grave, even though we no longer talk or we're no longer together. But I believe in and it's not only with romantic relationship, even in friendships. If someone shares something with me, they find me as being a safe place. They share something with me, and even if I don't no longer talk to that person, I believe in having integrity when somebody shares something with you in confidence. Even if I never talk to that person again, I'm never going to share with anyone what they allowed me share it with me. I just don't do that. But everybody's not like that, unfortunately. But I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. But anything else? Any final words? Any closing thoughts that you wanted to say in regards to men's mental health?
I appreciate you having us on and having this talk. I think it's very vital and important, especially in the Black community. I think for a long time we've been downtrodden, not only as men, as women as well. Just not having that safe space to talk and be vulnerable. And I think sometimes we think that word vulnerable is a bad word. It's soft, it's weakening, but we're here for a reason. We're here to help each other and help make each other better. But if we can't, like I said, be in a safe space for somebody, if we can't do that, we can't promote that, then what are we doing? It's like when you find a mate, you find someone you want to share your life with. You're not finding somebody that's you shouldn't do it for superficial reasons. For superficial reasons, it's not going to last. Then you find yourself leaving that person, going to somebody else that you got that superficial connection to. But at the same time, if you're looking for that deep connection, or you're looking for that safe space, that place to be vulnerable, that's what you want. You want someone that you can share your story with, share your life with, and not have to worry about that coming up and being ammunition later on. And I think that's what a lot we run away from, what's not easy. What's not easy. So if a relationship not easy or something not easy, we get out of it. We run away from it. We want to take the safe route, the easy route. But life is hard.
Right.
We have people that God placed in our path to help us out. It's like you said about the journal. You go back and look at something you wrote last year and see how far you came within this year or whatever. Sometimes you can write these things down, pray about it, and then you talk to somebody maybe a day or two later, and it becomes kind of kismet. You say, wow, this must be God speaking to me, because nobody knew about what I was going through or what I was talking about, what I was praying about. But this person right here confirmed what I'm talking about.
Right.
So that's that circle, that's that bond. We're supposed to, help lift each other up. And like, I'm glad Robert used that word earlier, affirmation. We don't affirm each other enough. If someone looks good, tell them they look good. If someone did a good job, tell them they did a good job, instead of hating on that person or not giving them the accolades they deserve, because you ain't getting them. They're not telling me. I'm not gonna say nothing, But if we want to help each other out, it's the better we can be. We're all community here, so we need to get back to that togetherness, being the community, and not see everything that's I guess not normalized as a bad thing. I told a client yesterday, I said, you have to be uniquely you. Why fit in? If you fit in, you trying to be like everybody else. Just be yourself.
Right.
If you're comfortable with yourself, you love yourself, versus liking yourself or not liking yourself, being indifferent with yourself, you'll find more comfortability with you being you. And
Right.
if you can't do that, you never accept who you are.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree totally. And Rob, what are some of your final thoughts?
My final thought is real simple. Brothers, it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. But that's a part of the journey. First, you got to acknowledge it, and you got to take a step forward. It's going to feel like you take a step forward and get knocked back 10 steps, but the most important thing is just to move forward. So it's okay to not be okay, but always lean on your gratitude, because guarantee that there's someone in a worse situation than you, and I promise you that you have way more to be grateful for than what's going on in your life currently.
That was good. This has been good. This has been amazing. Now, there are going to be people that are watching that may have missed the beginning. Make sure you guys go back and watch the replay. But if there's someone that wants to reach out to either one of you, what is your if you're on social media, what is your social media handle? Also, if you have a way, like say somebody's watching and it may be like, I want to reach out to Chris, or I want to reach out to Robert. I want to, communicate just some type of dialogue. They may feel comfortable talking to you. What are your social media handles if you're on social media, or how can someone be able to get in contact with you if they choose to reach out to you?
So everything for me is Sold by Shine, SOLDBY SHINE. That's going to be Facebook, Instagram, Sold by Shine at Gmail. Those are going to be the best ways to get in touch with me.
Okay.
I think my computer about to cut off.
I have no social media, so you can get in touch with me by email. Seymour1906@outlook.com.
You have no social media at all?
Don't judge me.
No, hey, I know your peace of mind is like is on a whole nother level, because you have no social media, no distractions. Man, that's amazing.
Oh my God.
Don't judge me.
Right, Robert. I'm jealous too. That's a whole different level of peace right there.
Right.
He said no social media. That's a whole level of peace.
But you can email me though.
And see, I'm on social media, for my podcast, for radio station, and also for church. So I have to be on social media. But man, no social media at all. Man, that's woo. That's what's up. And listen, I was off Facebook one time for I took a break because I would periodically, because sometimes we have to be careful. I know me. I have to be careful what I'm listening to, what I'm watching, and stuff like that. And I would periodically take breaks from Facebook. And I remember I would do 30 days, 60 days. And one time my 30 days turned into 3 years. And so I was off Facebook so long for 3 years, I couldn't remember my password. So I actually had to start a new Facebook page. So when I came back to Facebook, people were like, Tori, you deleted me. I'm like, no, I didn't delete you. I just had to start over. So man, no social media. That's like that's.
What kind of cell phone you got? You don't got no flip phone, do you?
I want one. That's the best phone to hang up on people. You get no dramatic effect with a touch screen. You can't hang it on. Okay. Just flip it. Get your aggression out. That's therapeutic.
That's healthily showing emotions, right? There you go.
Good way to show emotions.
That's what's up. No social media. Wow. I'm just sitting back thinking, oh gosh, I don't even know if I could.
You can.
Oh my goodness. So let me ask you this, Mr. Chris, do you at least watch YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Dang, no.
I don't view that as social media. That is YouTube.
Well, this part is considered social media, but I mean with no Facebook, no Instagram, Wow. That's awesome. That's all I can say. That's why I limit myself on social media, because sometimes I get caught up, especially on Facebook. Sometimes you start scrolling, and sometimes I'll tell myself, I'll be on here 2 minutes. Man, that 2 minutes turned 30 minutes. So that's awesome. My brother has no social media either. So some people, it's just they can make it without. So and the sad part is that there's some people that can't live without social media. Like when they wake up in the morning, the first thing they go to, instead of telling the Lord thank you, they on Facebook. Like, it ain't that serious. Now, I use it, for me personally, I try to use social media as a tool to, like, be positive, do positive, quotes and stuff like that. And also to, for my platform. Mm-hmm. But that's awesome that you can not have, so I ain't no judgment here.
You just find other things to do.
Yes, exactly. That's what's up. Well, I thank you both for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me, and I would definitely love to have you guys back on a future episode, because like I said, mental health is very important. We shouldn't take it lightly at all, and just like Robert said, it is okay not to be okay. Right. And a lot of times people think there's something wrong, and like, another thing that I noticed that a lot of people, because there has been a lot of death that has been going on, violent deaths, and people dying from sickness and illnesses as well. But that was another thing that I'm noticing, that a lot is going on that's messing with people mental, is because they're grieving as well. Mm-hmm. And that's causing a lot of mental issues as well, that I'm noticing. And I know, for me personally, I lost a little cousin, was murdered, and that kind of messed me up. It kind of messed me up for a little bit, because sometimes you be like, why? When it comes to, now I can, as far as grief wise, I can get through when illness, but when it comes to like a murder or something, I'll be honest, I have my moments where I'm angry. And I'm like, sometimes I don't exactly know what to do with the anger. So sometimes I have to isolate myself, and I have to just meditate and pray. But sometimes that grief can consume me, because I'm one of those people, when it comes to grief, I kind of allow it sometimes to consume me. And it becomes overwhelming. And when it gets to that point, I know that I have to talk to someone. Mm-hmm. So that, I want people to know that don't allow, grief is hard, but know that you can definitely get through it. Get through it.
There's no timetable for grief. Everybody handle grief in a different way. But at the same time, I hate to use that old slogan, time heal all wounds.
Right.
But when you lose someone, that wound is still open. It might get a little better, but that wound is still open.
Right.
Because you never can replace that person. That person never be back. But at the same time, that hole is still gaping there. But you try to process it the best you can. But sometimes that grief is lifetime.
Right.
Yeah.
It's different than when it first happened, as opposed to 20 years later or 35 years later, but at the same time, that grief is still there. You're still holding on to it.
And just to kind of piggyback off you said with that gaping, with that gash or that scar, even when that scar heals, you still there'll be moments when you look down and see that scar.
Yeah.
So there are always going to be moments when you kind of remember that person or what happened. So time does heal all wounds, but the timetable is different for everybody. Mm-hmm. It might take me a day to get over something, and it might take Chris 5 years. And it might not even be death. It might just be somebody just made him mad. 5 years, and I get over it in a day. So everybody's not different, and you just need to be uniquely you, and kind of understand that this is your journey, and don't compare it to somebody else's.
That's very valuable information. Thank you both. You guys have shared some very, very valuable information. Like, just people that are watching, I'm also learning as I'm listening. And what I do, a lot of times what I do, of course, when I'm interviewing, there's things that I may miss. So I always go back for myself, go back and listen to the replay, because when I'm asking you guys questions, there's something that you may have said that I may have missed because I'm asking questions. But this is going to be valuable for me to go back and watch for myself, because you both have said some very valuable information. So like I was saying, in the future, I would love to have you both back together as well as individually, because you both added value. And this has been very, very, very informative, because like I said, a lot of times people take they don't take mental health seriously. Like, nothing wrong, you know, and I pay attention. One thing about me, I pay attention to people that are constantly laughing a lot, because sometimes the ones that are laughing, them the ones that's really hurting. I noticed that about some people. Like, when they do a lot of joking, a lot of laughing, that's when they're hurting the most. So behind every smile, behind every laugh, you know, somebody's laughing, there's some pain behind it. So I pay attention to things more so now. So, but thank you both once again for coming on. I would definitely be reaching out to you guys again, because this has been great. So
just contact me by email.
I think I got a pigeon carrier in my backyard, man. We're gonna send some birds your way, man.
Hit my pager.
Well, thank you guys both again. And I want to thank everyone out there for watching. If you missed the beginning, make sure you definitely go back and watch the replay. And like I always, and I want you guys to hang on once we end the show. I'm going to talk to you guys backstage. But as I always end all my podcasts, I always tell people, whatever you're going through in this thing called life, remember, you may bend, but don't you dare break. Always remember to keep the faith. And you guys have a great evening. Be blessed, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace out.